Welcome to 5 Minutes, your quick dive into the wide-ranging world of insurance, technology, and leadership. I'm Miguel Edwards, and I'll be your guide as we explore these topics that are transforming not just the insurance industry, but the business world at large. Along with sharing observations I've made over the span of my career in insurance, technology, and operations, I'll be chatting with some of the brightest minds in business and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, an industry expert, or just curious about how technology is revolutionizing insurance, this is your perfect spot for your weekly dose of insights. This is 5 Minutes. Commissioner Andrew Mais, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day. I know it's been a long day. It's getting toward the end, so I really appreciate the time.
Well, thank you for having me. Always happy to be here. Always happy to talk.
Fantastic. So just before we get into things, I know you've had an illustrious background and career. Just give us a little bit of some background leading up to your role as commissioner in Connecticut, and we'll see where we go.
It's been quite a career, because one of the things that I've always said, and this is what I told my daughter, this is what I tell all the kids I speak to, never be afraid to try something new.
Yeah.
You got to have fun. So I started off in marketing with defense contractors straight out of school.
Okay.
Way back in the days when everything was cost plus and you were a 21-year-old flying first class.
Right.
That was great.
Yeah.
Then I decided I needed a change. I wanted to do a mission. And I became a newspaper reporter, when I became a business editor, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I had a career that I really enjoyed. Wasn't the most lucrative in the world, so after a while I decided it was time to move on. However, one of the things I started there, I love cars.
Okay.
So I said, we've got, and this was in my hometown in Wilton, we had newspapers all along the Gold Coast. We have a really desirable demographic, some of the most expensive places in the nation.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a car club? And I started that.
All right.
So every week I would get a new car in front of my house, and still my neighbor, former CEO of Lloyd's,
okay,
America's Hank Watkins. After I got to know him, after I came into insurance, he said, we all used to chat about all these great new cars you get every week. So that was fun.
That's awesome.
Then I went to insurance.
Okay.
Quite by accident. I was looking for a new challenge. And this is part of what I say, again, as I talk to young people, because I think people tend to underestimate the value of insurance and what they can get from an insurance career in every way. And I said to them, nobody grew up wanting to, well, at least I didn't grow up wanting to be
unless you're an actuary.
Exactly. And speaking of that, did you see the Fairfield Little League kids in Connecticut? They won third place in one of the kids in the Little League World Series. And they asked one of the kids what he wanted to be. And he wanted to be an actuary. It was like, yep, you're from the insurance capital of the world.
That's
kid.
right, that's right.
Yeah. But I went into insurance because a friend of mine who was a fellow Rotarian, and he was the head of he was the Inspector General of the New York Liquidation Bureau.
Okay.
And he said, have you tried this? And I was, had my thoughts. Basically, were you crazy? But I went, started talking to people, and it turned out, it was really fascinating. Said yes, and I've loved it ever since. It's a fascinating business. You can be anything. I mean, there aren't too many places where you can be anything you want to be.
That's right.
And then you're doing good in the meantime. What more can you ask for?
100%. I don't think a lot of people realize insurance makes the world go round. Like, it
Absolutely.
literally would stop without insurance.
I had no boss who used to say insurance is the engine of capitalism.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where we go. So I was with New York for quite a while. Then I went back to the private sector, was with Deloitte in their insurance industry practice for quite a while. And then when this governor won, we were actually in London that night when my governor won this. He's now in his second term, coming up to a third. And we were meeting with the British partners and on the way to a meeting in Luxembourg. And I was with a former insurance commissioner from New York, the same guy who hired me, and somebody else who was from the UK. They said, you really should consider this. And I'm like, really? You really? Okay, fine, I'll think about it. And then in Luxembourg, I met two former Connecticut commissioners, different political parties, and both of them said the same thing. You really would be great at this.
Wow.
So I said, all right, I'll think about it. And here I am.
There it is.
Yeah.
There is no higher honor. That's awesome. And so when you think about this work as commissioner, what is it that you get the most out of? What do you find the most gratifying in your work?
There is so much that is gratifying. There's so much that is painful. You go through and you look at different product categories. Long-term care. I've got a long-term care policy. I know how much that has gone up. And you talk to people who've been through that, and they put all their money in, and they're getting into their 70s and 80s, and they're faced with a huge premium increase.
That's right.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
That's right.
And all you can do is try to tell them, that you had the protection. We'll see what we can do. Mm-hmm. But then one of the stories I remember, one of the stories I tell that really hit me about insurance was back when I was with Deloitte. And since I had no desire to work in insurance, I was always interested in finding out why people went into insurance. Mm-hmm. And there was this woman, she was a vice chair, senior insurance leader. She she managed one of our big accounts. And I was asking her, and she told me that when she was a teenager, her father died.
Oh.
And it was his insurance money that put her through school, that made her the success she is now.
That's right.
And that's what gets to you, realizing the difference you can make.
Amen.
So.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.